The Manhattan skyline.
Throw in chef-prepared meals and tents. Glamping has come to New York City, a campground outpost of high-end tents on New York City's Governor's Island. It costs about $600 a night. The campground is only accessible by ferry. There are also glamping or glamorous camping sites in Montana and Colorado. Sign me up. News Street 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, Governor Walker will be assessing the damage in Sun Prairie after the fatal explosion, and we'll have the very latest.
Plus, we'll sit down with the wife of the firefighter who died in that explosion. Now, she is remembering her husband.
And more than 50 senior citizens are still evacuated tonight after being taken to an emergency shelter last night. We'll have the very latest.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with us, everybody. An explosion shook the city of Sun Prairie almost 24 hours ago that killed one firefighter and injured many others.
We have team coverage of the tragic incident from Sun Prairie. We start with our Eric Franke. He's at the scene with more on what we know now. Eric.
Any idea what I should tell you? Maybe.
Susan, Mark, we do have more information coming our way in about an hour. Governor Walker will be visiting Sun Prairie. He'll be surveying the damage here and also addressing the media with the police chief, the fire chief, and the head of EMS as well in front of the East Police Department on Main Street. This explosion, as we mentioned, happened just after 7 last night at the intersection of Main and Bristol Streets. It was after police say they were called to the area about 45 minutes earlier for complaints of people smelling natural gas. We know some residents living within the half-mile evacuation zone that were set up have now been allowed back into their homes. The Red Cross did tweet out earlier this afternoon volunteers are still helping around 20 displaced residents, though there are roughly 200 residents out of the 500 once affected who are still without power and natural gas. These first calls, as we mentioned, came in about 6:20 last night to 911 about a gas leak. A spokeswoman for We Energy says a contractor punctured a gas line, causing a leak that led to the explosion about 7:05. And we're still trying to figure out exactly who that contractor was, if the contractor had a permit to dig in the area. The explosion leveled the Bar House Tavern, caused serious damage to many nearby buildings, including Glass Nickel Pizza in Sun Prairie.
The Sun Prairie Fire Department is strong, and we will keep on building from this. We are hurt, but we will come back.
Thank God that our firefighters and those who responded and our police officers were able to get a majority of those people evacuated before this, the explosion. It could have been a lot worse.
And we are still working on figuring out, again, who that contractor was, if the contractor had a permit to dig in the area. The Bar House damaged, seriously damaged, some of the other buildings as well, including, as we mentioned, Glass Nickel Pizza. But the biggest loss, aside from all these buildings, was to Corey Barr, a firefighter also who owned the Bar House. He was a father, a husband, a local businessman, a stalwart in the community. And today we're learning more about Corey Barr, the man who gave his life last night. Our Keely Arthur had the opportunity to speak with his wife, Abby, today. Keely?
That's right, Eric. Abby Barr did not only lose a husband, she lost part of her livelihood. As we've reported, they co-owned the Barr House, which was leveled in that explosion. Now, Corey was checking on the Bar House when we heard about that gas leak. As other first responders were working to remove everyone to safety, he went in there to see what was wrong. Now, that's when the explosion went off. Barr was pronounced dead later at the hospital. Now, he leaves behind twin 3-year-old little girls and an incredibly strong wife who told me that yesterday was far from the only time her husband acted heroically.
So much passion for the fire service. It was maddening. He cared for the fire department so much. And, I always admired him and looked up to him because I feel like it takes a special person to be on a fire department and be running in towards something that everyone else is running away from.
Now today, Barr is at her home surrounded by friends, family, and the Sun Prairie Fire Department, many of whom have been like family to the Barr family for a very long time. And for anyone watching or in the community who wants to help this very deserving family, you can go to their GoFundMe page. We should have a link to that on the bottom of our screen. We also have a link to that on channel3000.com. Eric, that donation pile exceeding $40,000. as of right now. So it just keeps growing, so much support here.
Thoughts with his twin daughters, obviously a lot of those folks with those young ladies, and his wife Abby. We appreciate her taking the time to share her memories of Corey, an outstanding guy. 15 years since he was a teenager, a firefighter. He dreamed of owning a bar someday, as his grandparents had. Keely, thanks for sharing those thoughts, and again, thanks to Abby as well. A lot of folks in the community with their thoughts with the Barr family tonight. Now, another big story here is all the people that were displaced last night because of that gas situation last night. A lot of people were displaced from their homes, so it's been a tough go for them over the last 24 hours or so as well. For more on their plight, let's go to Jamie Perez, who's talked to a few of them today. Jamie?
That's right, Eric. Well, we do know that about 100 residents were displaced from their homes from all of this damage and destruction from that explosion yesterday. And a lot of residents have slowly but surely been letting back into their homes, even some of the homes that you see here to my right. But there was one woman that I spoke with today that's not only dealing from the aftermath and the trauma from last night, but now she doesn't even have a home to go back to.
Everybody back, please.
Some residents are calling it a nightmare.
It's pretty sad. It's hard. Yes.
More than 100 residents displaced from their homes are slowly returning. That is, if they have a home to come back to.
It seemed like it was all stories until I saw the photos and the videos, and now being down here and seeing that it's real.
Angie made it out alive by just moments.
I'm very thankful that the way that things played out yesterday, that I wasn't in my normal routine.
But what she saw before escaping.
Construction worker people out there running with their hands over their face like something just happened.
Was what most people here are calling
an unreal night.
She says she's lost in more ways than one.
Lost. It's not just the clothes on my back, it's the memories.
The memories that are now burned to ashes and debris, but out of all of the replaceable items, there's one thing she can't replace.
I lost a friend, a boss in the explosion. I feel bad for his family, his wife, their toddlers.
She says today is worse than yesterday, but the one positive she can take away is that out of all the things she's lost, she's thankful that she's still breathing.
Dog's out, she's fine, I'm fine. It's just gonna be a rough road.
Angie is staying at a hotel tonight and getting the assistance being provided by the American Red Cross. We will continue to keep you updated on the resident situation as the night goes on.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. And another big story, I don't know if you saw our video last night, but one of the most unbelievable sights were senior citizens from an assisted living center being pushed down this street behind me. Folks that work there, first responders, evacuating those folks from an assisted living facility, and 50 of those seniors are still out of their homes tonight after being evacuated and taken to an emergency shelter. Now, we do want to have an update. The nursing home in downtown Sun Prairie evacuated. Many of them, of course, had medical concerns. Of course, you got to have your medicine, and in their age, they require a lot of health attention anyway. So luckily, those folks were able to get out and safely, quickly, thanks to firefighters and police and others doing their job. One resident we spoke with says he is thankful for the help he received.
I wasn't worried because of the help that we were treated excellently.
Again, just an unbelievable effort from first responders. You saw workers from the assisted living facility helping those seniors get out of that facility and to safety last night. It took them, in fact, less than an hour and a half also to get things set up at the high school for them, again, to make sure they had the medications they needed and to just make sure they were taken care of. We'll have much more coming up from Sun Prairie shortly. Mark and Susan?
Oh, that video just rips your heart out. It's been a surreal 24 hours, but so inspiring to see how the whole community is coming together.
Could have been so much more tragic.
Yeah, Eric, thank you so much, and also to Keely and Jamie as well.
And people who had to leave their homes last night in Sun Prairie have found shelter in a lot of places, including the local high school.
Since then, the community has seen an outpouring of support. Our Adam Duxter joins us with how people are helping their neighbors in Sun Prairie. Adam?
I spent today at Sun Prairie High School, the hub for all the relief efforts, and a temporary home for those who can't stay in their own. Members of the community have dropped off a whole bunch of things to the school, including water, food, toiletries, playing cards, even a hot meal. Red Cross volunteers say they've noticed the support from the Sun Prairie community since last night.
There's a woman with a therapy dog that's here and asking, you know, is this the kind of thing that could help some of the folks get through this, especially with the uncertainty? It's been really steady and really incredible.
Throughout the day, people have been able to leave the school as homes have been continued to be cleared. Tonight at 6, I'll dive deeper into the story and show you all the different ways the community of Sun Prairie has come together to help each other out. Plus, we'll hear from some of the people staying temporarily at the school.
A lot of heroes out there.
Yes.
Adam Duxter live in the newsroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And as always, stay with News 3 for the very latest on this story. We will be updating it all the time on channel3000.com.
And now let's get a look at your first alert to weather. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti is in the Weather Center. Gary?
Mark, it's actually pretty nice out there. The humidity levels are still fairly low, but they're going to be creeping up over the next couple of days. As we take a look at visible cloud track, some clouds up in northern Wisconsin, but generally sunny skies here in the southern part of the state. Rain, well, pretty much confined to northern Minnesota. A couple of sprinkles in parts of northern Wisconsin earlier. Those have dissipated. Low temperatures this morning started out around 60 here in Madison as the air dried out. Temperatures, many locations were in the middle to upper 50s, but current temperatures have warmed up about 30 degrees since then into the middle to upper 80s. Right now, 89 in Bosqueville, 90 in La Crosse. A little cooler in Lake Michigan, Milwaukee right now at 78 degrees. Dew point temperatures are still relatively low, upper 50s to around 60 degrees. Notice farther out to the west, that darker shade of blue, that's dew point temperatures in the 70s, and they'll be working their way eastward. So right now, the heat index about the same as the temperature, but notice La Crosse, their heat index is at 92 and the actual air temperature is at 90. So you can tell the humidity is starting to make an impact there. Temperatures will drop off into the upper 60s by early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow will be a very warm and humid day. There's a slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm north of Madison. Otherwise, look for a high of 87. The heat index from about 90 to 95. That's your first alert forecast.
All right, thank you, Gary. A Madison man was found last night in Middleton driving a stolen vehicle with 2 teenage passengers. A Middleton police officer found a stolen vehicle around 6:05 in the 7500 block of University Avenue. Officers conducted a traffic stop and made contact with the driver and 2 teen passengers. The driver, 21-year-old Jamarius Shoulders, was arrested on a tentative charge of operating a motor vehicle without the owner's consent. A 17-year-old boy from Fitchburg was cited for possession of a controlled substance and released. A 15-year-old girl from Middleton was also released.
The city of Madison is getting some help to redevelop the former Oscar Mayer plant. The city is receiving a $500,000 Idols Sites redevelopment grant from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. It'll help finance infrastructure work on the site, including gas and electricity. To each building, Madison Mayor Paul Soglin says he's happy with the progress being made on the historic site.
We all know the story of what's happened, and we are going to do some great things on this site in that tradition.
The entire $1.8 million project is expected to be completed in 2025.
Wisconsin's primary election is just under a month away, and the push for voter registration continues, including registration for Madison's homeless. The Beacon, the day shelter for those experiencing homelessness, hosted city officials and volunteers today to help those without a permanent address prepare for the election, a complicated task that has left some homeless people feeling hopeless.
I've talked to some of the folks here who say they just don't believe in voting. They're just turned off. But I've talked to a lot of people here today who said, I can register here, I can get it, I can get the things I need to be able to vote.
When News 3 visited the Beacon, officials said they had helped 18 visitors register and many more confirm their registrations. Still to come tonight on News 3 at 5, we'll continue to update you as we learn more about the explosion and fire in Sun Prairie. Eric Franke is live on the scene, and he'll join us in just a little bit.
Let's go back to Sun Prairie now. Eric Franke live on the scene at the explosion. Almost 24 hours now. Eric, what's the latest?
Mark and Susan, at the top of the hour, as we mentioned, the governor, he's going to take a look at things here. He will address the media alongside the police chief, the fire chief, and the EMS chief here in Sun Prairie at the East Police Department. They'll be out in front of the East Police Department at about 6 o'clock on Main Street. Now, recapping, 7 o'clock last night. It was just after 7, about 7:05 to be exact, is when that explosion happened. It was roughly 45 minutes after people had called in complaints of smelling natural gas. And friends and family today confirmed to News 3 Corey Barr was that volunteer firefighter who passed away from injuries that he sustained in that explosion. He was also the owner of the bar house, which is right next to the site of that explosion, and was leveled by the blast. One other firefighter remains still recovering from his injuries in the hospital. Some residents living within the half-mile evacuation zone around us are being slowly allowed back into their homes. We're getting before and after looks as well at the damage. If you're not familiar with Sun Prairie's very vibrant downtown area, these are pictures taken from the same location, one from Google Maps, the other from a viewer on the scene last night, and you can see the devastation as the entire building there is gone. Again, at Bristol and Main Street, a devastating blast, and of course we'll learn more about it from the governor as well as the police chief and fire chief and EMS chief when they address the media at 6 o'clock. Mark and Susan.
All right, Eric, we'll see you at the top of the hour. Eric Franke live in Sun Prairie. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Police in Georgia are investigating allegations that Buffalo Bills star LaShawn McCoy was behind a violent attack on his former girlfriend. Delicia Corden says she was attacked while sleeping at his house by a male assailant who hit her in the face with a firearm. A photo provided by her lawyer yesterday shows her apparent injuries. In a statement, Corden's attorney said a male assailant entered the home while Corden was sleeping, demanded specific items of jewelry that McCoy had given her, and hit Ms. Corden in the face with a firearm multiple times. Court records show McCoy has been trying to evict his estranged girlfriend for more than a year.
There's a very clear implication that Mr. McCoy is either involved in this attack or, at the very least, didn't seem to show a whole lot of interest in Ms. Corden's health after the attack.
McCoy has called the allegations baseless and offensive. The NFL and the Buffalo Bills say they are looking into the matter.
Out to the weather patio now. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti. A very warm but pleasant evening out there.
Yeah, the humidity levels are still fairly low, so it's not too bad. But tomorrow, humidity will continue to creep up, and then we'll be looking for a little more uncomfortableness in the air. Now, Doppler track right now, pretty quiet across southern Wisconsin. A couple of sprinkles up in northern Wisconsin have faded. There are some thunderstorms moving into northwestern portions of Minnesota. There could be some stronger to severe thunderstorms up there tonight. Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow has a risk of severe thunderstorms through much of northern and central Wisconsin, mainly to our north and west. You can see the slight risk up toward Eau Claire and Wausau, but a marginal risk perhaps as far south as Wisconsin Dells, but most of that will be later on tomorrow night. Time lapse from the WISC Skycam here in Madison shows a beautiful sunrise and lots of sunshine through the day. Very little in the way of cloudiness other than just a few passing cirrus clouds. And there's the live view from the WISC Skycam. A beautiful afternoon, lots of sunshine, and like I said, the humidity level is not too bad. The Queen Bee Radio Skycam in southwestern Wisconsin and Platteville shows mostly sunny skies there, and the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing a sunlit capital. As we check out the almanac for today, our high temperature here in Madison topped out at 85, the low temperature at 59, and right now we're sitting at 85 with winds out of the south-southeast at 9 miles per hour. The heat index about the same as the temperature at 85, but tomorrow we'll see the heat index more than the temperature. As we take a look at Hurricane Chris, you can see over the last 12 hours, it's maintained its intensity as it's moved as a Category 2 hurricane away from the U.S. mainland. Top winds right now about 90 miles per hour, and it's moving toward the northeast now at about 25 miles per hour. The latest forecast track from the National Hurricane Center races it to the northeast, so in 48 hours it'll be passing Newfoundland and then heads out into the northern portions of the Atlantic Ocean and eventually just kind of fizzles out somewhere around Iceland. But as we take a look at weather track across the country, things are pretty quiet also in the northern part of the United States. Just some showers and thunderstorms up in northern Minnesota. Most of the thunderstorm activities in the southwestern part of the country, giving them some relief from the rain, but also bringing some localized flooding and also a lot of wind wind and blowing dust over parts of Arizona. The surface weather map shows a warm front to our south and to our west, and then a weak cold front cutting through the Dakotas. Between those two fronts, temperatures are mainly in the 90s. We're just north of the warm front, so we're in the mid-80s, but the dew point temperatures along and just south of that warm front are in the 70s, so it'll become a little warmer and also more humid with time. And on future track, that could lead to some thunderstorms. Most of those will stay up to our north, but as we get into tomorrow night and Friday, we'll see slightly better chances for showers and thunderstorms. Probably our best chance will be on Saturday as the front gradually works its way southward and then heads back north as a warm front. 67 for the overnight low temperature with partly cloudy skies tonight. Tomorrow, very warm and humid, a high of 87. Can't rule out an isolated shower or thunderstorm well north of Madison. On future track, you can see things pretty quiet for tonight. Partly cloudy skies, lows in the upper 60s. High temperatures tomorrow climbing into the mid to upper 80s. Just an outside chance of a shower or thunderstorm well north of Madison. A little better chance for a shower or thunderstorm tomorrow night with low temperatures around 70. And then it'll be humid on Friday with shower and thunderstorm chances, but not an all-day rain. Also some dry hours as well with high temperatures in the upper 80s, maybe close to 90 degrees. 7 to 10 day forecast. Those temperatures remain warm through the weekend, but then after some thunderstorms on Monday, notice the break in the humidity. Temperatures around 80 for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then lower 80s on Thursday before the humidity starts to return again toward the end of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic, not a great day on the Beltline. There's the live view from the DOT camera at Todd Drive. You can see traffic moving pretty slowly in both directions, basically between about Verona Road all the way almost to Stoughton Road, at least in the westbound direction. Some slowdowns on 151 heading toward the Easttown Shopping Mall area and on Highway 12 north of Middleton. Right now, a half hour from University Avenue to the interstate and 35 minutes going back in the westbound direction. So that's almost double the normal time, drive time there. 29 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990, 20 minutes out to Sauk City on US 12, and 17 minutes to Sun Prairie on 151. That is your first alert traffic.
Take some time out there. Be patient. All right, Gary, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Gary. Ahead on News 3 at 5, how members of the Thailand boys soccer team are recovering after being trapped in a cave for over 2 weeks. We'll be right back. The 12 boys and soccer coach rescued from a cave in Thailand are all in good condition.
Officials say the boys show no signs of stress after the 18-day ordeal, but 2 of the boys do have lung infections. The last 4 boys and their 25-year-old coach were pulled out of the cave yesterday. CBS News has learned the boys and coach were rescued just in time. Hours after the last boy was pulled out, the main water pump in the caves malfunctioned, sending water rushing in.
That's an abort criteria for our guys, and so when that water level started rising, everybody started grabbing their kit and they were ready to get out. Thankfully, that last seal popped up at the last moment, and everyone was able to get out of chamber 3 safely and make their way out, and mission complete.
All of the boys and their coach are expected to be kept at the hospital through the weekend. What a remarkable story this has been. We'll have another check of the weather when we come back. Looking for some rain eventually here.
Yeah, but not continuous rain. I mean, we could use rain, actually. The lawns are starting to get a little dry.
Yeah, they are, amazingly.
But as we take a look at Doppler track right now, not much in the way of rain anywhere near us, and certainly nothing across southern Wisconsin. Temperatures right now, middle 80s, but at least the humidity levels aren't too bad. Look for high temperatures, upper 80s next couple of days, some thunderstorm chances through the weekend, then a break early next week before we warm up at the end of the week.
All right, thank you, Gary. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you back here at 6.